Hello and welcome to the Yoga Corner. I'm Shelby Phoenix. I'm a yoga instructor, life coach, and founder of the Yoga Corner. I help you find unshakable self-trust and manifest a lifestyle as a yoga entrepreneur. In my podcast, Yoga Corner Chats, I have real conversations with women about their wellness and entrepreneurship journeys. So get cozy and listen in because the next chat is starting now. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Yoga Corner. My name is Shelby Phoenix. I guide anxious yoga teachers to overcome fear and self-doubt so that they can kickstart their career. And I am so excited today because in just a moment we're going to be joined by Lara Carney. Lara is an energy healer and inner voice facilitator helping others tap back into their intuition and follow their soul's guidance. She believes we each have a deeper wisdom within ourselves that provides a compass to follow at all times as we create a life filled with purpose and joy. So without further ado, I would love to welcome Lara. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much.
I am good.
Awesome. I was wondering if it's okay with you if we started this interview by taking a couple deep breaths together.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And anyone who's listening now or joining us when I post this on the Instagram page, I invite you to join us in a couple breaths as well. So if it feels safe in your space, I invite you to close your eyes or take a soft gaze, settle into whatever you're sitting on, and then begin to get completely empty. Push all the air out of your lungs with your belly and gently begin to inhale through your nose. Feel your belly rise, your rib cage expand, fill all the way up to your collarbone. And then exhale out your mouth. Another deep, three-part breath, just like that. In through the nose, belly, rib cage, collarbone, and then sending it out. One last full deep breath together. Inhale. And then get empty. And whenever you feel ready to come back into this space, gently open your eyes. Awesome. So I would love to start by having you introduce yourself and your business.
Absolutely. So I am Lara Carney. I am the owner of Minding My Freak. I'm an energy healer and an inner voice facilitator. So basically what I do, it's a few different things. I try to explain it in the best way. I'll start with the inner voice. So inner voice facilitating, I'm basically like a coach for inner voices. And your inner voice is a deeper part of yourself. It's like your intuition, your soul, your knowing, your gut feeling, we call it all of those things. And I help others tap into that part of themselves so that they are able to get the guidance and the advice they need for things that their mind, I like to say, may be chewing on, or things they may be struggling with or having concerns about, stuff that the mind likes to kind of run its circles around. So basically what I do is I help people tap back into that part of themselves and drop completely out of the mind down into the body so that they're able to have full conversations with this part of themselves. They're able to get that guidance, get that advice without the mind trying to input all of what it thinks should be. It's like it should be this way, it has to be this way, all of its definitive things, while the inner voice is open to so many more possibilities that we really block out when we are in the mind and we cut off that connection. So with my energy healing, I like to work a lot of this into my inner voice facilitating. So that is basically working. You could think of it as like a massage. You're getting a massage on your physical body and you're releasing all these toxins, all the stress, this tension. And an energy healing session is like a massage on your energetic body rather than your physical. So it's helping to release energetic blocks. It's helping to release energy that is stuck within the body that is causing your trigger responses, your like reactions, when you react to certain situations in a way that maybe others wouldn't. That's when you can kind of tell this is a trigger. This is an energetic block. I have something here that is within my body that is asking to be felt and released. I work with past life energy. I work with energy in the karmic body, emotional body. So, you know, we could go real woo with it all. But it's really just working on the entire energetic body, which does bleed into the physical and the mental and the spiritual. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do in a nutshell.
Ooh, when you're talking about it, I get goosebumps because I can especially relate to the concept of like connecting your mind and your body, or like dropping into the sensations of your body to really understand like what to do next. And every time I've done that in my life, I've made like quantum leaps, like huge leaps. Like what the first time was when I became a middle and high school teacher, like from what I was before to that. And it was like, wow, I just grew so much. And then again, when I went from being a teacher to starting my business. So I'm wondering, like, what is sort of your journey about how you came to be an energy healer and an inner voice facilitator?
Yeah, so it's so funny. It's, you know, that typical cliche, it found me before I found it. I was just starting my spiritual journey, and I have always been a very logical person, just by nature. I love knowing how things work, why they work. Very like strong mind. I have a very strong mind that likes to know how things are happening and why they're happening and when they're going to happen. So I was just starting to like dip my toes into spirituality and say, okay, like maybe there's something here, but I got to do my research.
Right.
So I was starting to do, like, anyone who's starting their spirituality journey knows about like the free webinars and the free master classes and the stuff. Really like, well, I just want to try the stuff out. Like, I just want to get an idea of those things. And that is like, I love that stuff for like when you're like really just trying to get like a taste tester of like, okay, is this for me? So I was like going hard on all of the free webinars and like the free master classes. And this was just like a random free webinar I had joined for like a week, and they were inviting on different people to talk and offer up like what they do for a living. And there was an energy healer that came on, and I knew nothing about energy healing. You know, I heard about Reiki here and there, but like I didn't really like go too deeply into what it was or spend too much time on it. And I did this healing. He gave out a healing, and he talked a little bit about what he does. And I just remember I woke up from this healing and I was just like amazed. I was awestruck. I was like, that was life-changing, you know, like what I experienced and what I felt. And like I didn't even give my mind time to think about it. I just like because he had offered, he was like, he was a Reiki master's, and his name is Brett Bevel, for anyone who's interested. And so he offered a place where you could train to become certified. And I immediately signed up that night. I was like, I didn't even think about it. I just knew. I was like, this is what I want to do. And it was so funny because it was right during a time when I really had no idea what I was doing. I was diving into spirituality because I was so confused. I was so lost. It was a point in your life when you just hit, you know, that like low point, and you're like, I don't know what to do. So you just start, you know, doing what comes to you and what feels right, because you just don't know what else you can do. And so that was pretty much where it started, and it's just been an uphill journey from there.
Oh, thank you for sharing your story. It's so funny how sometimes in those moments when we feel so lost or confused or unsure, that opportunities like present themselves, and when they do, you're like, yes, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but this is it. Like, it just came to me. What would you say your biggest transformation has been in your like entrepreneurship and spirituality journey?
It would have to be trusting myself. I never trusted myself, and I never trusted others, mainly because I wasn't trusting myself, as others are like that mirror. And trust was just so big for me. Like I just did not think that I was responsible enough for things. I didn't think that I could trust myself to make decisions,
Yeah.
especially. Um, I just didn't trust myself, period, with
Yeah.
anything. And it's really hard when you don't trust yourself, because when you don't trust yourself, like I said, you don't trust anyone else, and you are always on guard. You
Yeah.
always are like, you've got those stress hormones pumping. You're always like waiting for like what could go wrong next. And so like that was so difficult for me. I was running into health problems because of it.
Yeah.
It was affecting so many different parts of myself. So when I really dove into listening to my intuition and building that connection with my inner voice, I started realizing I can trust myself, that there is a part of myself that has a deeper wisdom, that has the guidance that I need, that just knows things,
Yeah.
knows things beyond anything my mind could even comprehend. And I am allowed to trust myself. And I also, like, along with that too, it was becoming okay with making mistakes, knowing
Yeah.
that I can trust myself to make mistakes too, and to
Yeah.
make it onto the other side of the mistake, make it through the mistake with the lesson, and trust that it was a mistake that worked out for me in the end, whether I learned a lesson from it or now I know how to do it better next time. So really, it's just that big aspect of trust. And now it's easier to trust others. And it's not like I just, trust whoever enters into my life. I still have that inner knowing that I can check in
Right.
with, that guidance that's like, it's okay to, be a little on guard around this person, or like, it's okay. But that doesn't mean like immediately like, no, this is a
Right.
bad person, because that's just the mind trying to pop
Right.
in and add its labels to things and its story.
Right.
So it's really just building that trust with yourself more than anything.
Yeah. I got a little bit emotional listening to that because I I've experienced that, and I've also heard, like, I think almost every like woman can relate to that. Like whether you're an entrepreneur or not, that feeling of like not trusting yourself or trusting your decisions, and also trusting your mistakes. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Your like mistakes are safe and it's part of the process.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, for women or people in general who are listening to this and find your story is resonating with them, what might be some of the first steps to take to start to make a connection with your intuition or your inner knowing and start to like interpret the messages you're getting?
Yeah, so I've noticed a lot of the times with like my clients and myself, you want to start slow because you do most of the time you don't have that trust. You don't trust yourself. So even if your inner voice is communicating with you, you always have that free will. You always have the option to not listen to it.
Right.
And it's hard to listen to it if you're not trusting what it's telling you when you've spent all these years listening to your mind. So when I say start slow and start small, you can start with something as little as like just yes and no questions. Like I'll start with inner voice. Do I want to sleep with this crystal under my pillow tonight? And I'll be holding a crystal, and then I'll just feel whether it's a yes or no in the body. And to do that, I have actually some guidance on my Instagram page too, some posts that people can look at for a little more in depth. But just quickly, to figure out what a yes and no in your body is, all you have to do is like get into your body, breathe a little bit, get yourself out of the mind. You do that by taking deep, deep breaths. And then you just ask your inner voice, what does a yes feel like in my body? And then just wait and see what you feel. Maybe you feel like, for me, it's an expansion in my chest. Some people will feel like an expansion in their stomach, or maybe they'll get tingles down their right arm. It's different for everyone.
Right.
And then you just do the same thing with a no. You just take those deep breaths and you ask your inner voice, okay, inner voice, show me what a no feels like in my body. And then once you can trust, and you can ask that question as many times as you want until you trust, okay, I know what a yes feels like now, and I know what a no feels like. And then
Right.
you can start with those little questions like, do I sleep with this crystal under my pillow tonight?
Right.
Do I have this drink with dinner tonight? You know, any little things, and then work your way up to the bigger questions like inner voice, do I quit my job? And you'll notice if you ask yourself that question, like now, you'll feel the resistance. You'll feel your mind immediately coming in and like blocking that guidance from your inner voice. So you'll start to question, was that a yes? Was that a no? I don't really know. And that's why you start with those small things so you can build up that trust. I know what a yes is. I know what a no is, and get up those big ones. You can also write to your inner voice where you're just literally breathing and then just write. Don't think about it. You know, it's like your stream of consciousness, right? Just write, and reread it. And you'll notice there are nuggets. There are little nuggets of guidance, advice in there that are coming from your intuition, coming from your inner voice, especially when you set the intention beforehand that you want to connect with your inner voice, that you're asking for guidance from your inner voice, because your inner voice is always there and it's always giving guidance. It's just a matter of whether or not you're listening.
Yeah. So, well, one example that popped into my head, I heard this on a podcast with Haley. I can't remember her last name right now, but I interviewed her like a couple months ago, and she talked about like using your intuition to like check in with your self-care. Like, say you have like a workout scheduled and you're like, I am like gonna, you know, do consistent exercise, and I have this workout scheduled, and it gets to the moment and you're feeling really exhausted, and like check in, like, is this a moment where I need to push myself to like get to the work, like the yoga class, the gym, whatever? Or is this a moment where I need to check in with myself and then rest? Like, what do I actually need in this moment, despite like what the end goal is? And I thought that was a really interesting example, because it's like dropping out of your mind and into your body and being super curious about what you really need.
Yeah.
But like building on that, like simple yes, no, when you start to build that self-trust, how can you use that inner voice to make choices in your business? Or how have you used your inner voice to make choices in your business?
I have used my inner voice to make every decision, every single one. Now that I have found, you know, that part of myself that I really trust and that I know is guiding me to what is best for me, it's hard not to check in with my inner voice when I'm making decisions and when I'm, you know, moving forward on things and starting to take action. It's almost turned into like a knowing now. Eventually, you won't need that discourse with your inner voice, because you'll just feel it. You'll just know. You'll be so connected to that part of yourself, and the mind will be so at ease and able to relax and sit back. You'll just know these things. So like when I have, like for example, when you reached out about hopping on Yoga Corner chats, I immediately felt a yes, like a good, like, oh, I feel really good about this. This feels exciting. Like I love Shelby. Like she has the best energy, you know? So that, like, I just knew immediately. When something comes up that may be a little more iffy, like let's say I'm about to invest in myself, and it's like, of course, that's, you know, a good chunk of money. And obviously, you know, if you have those money beliefs, which I'm a human being, I still have things that I'm working on. You know what I mean? You're going to have those beliefs and those limiting things pop up, which is going to be the mind trying to hop in and say, okay, wait, this is scary. This is like, let's hold up. Let's think about this. While the inner voice already knows, you know what I mean? So when things like that happen, I'll consciously stop and I'll say, okay, I feel myself, you know, I feel my nervous system kind of freaking out a little bit. I feel my mind wanting to, you know, tell me all these things. That's when I'll like slow down. I'll be like, okay, how do I feel right now? How do I feel about this situation? I might have an like actual conversation with my inner voice. I might just need to do a yes and no. I might write it out. you know, you have options, and it's all
Right.
just about feeling into what feels good for you, what works best for you. And it has just been, you know, life changing for me and my business, because as a business owner, you know, you have so many decisions to make.
Yes.
As an entrepreneur, it's just like decision, 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 day after day
Right.
after day. And like, you are the person to make those decisions. You know, there
Right.
isn't anyone above you. It's not like a regular job where you just take it to your boss and they'll make the decision for you.
Right.
Or as a kid, you know, you bring it to your parents and they can make the
Yeah.
decision for you. Like, but you're just making so many decisions. So being able to trust yourself through those decisions,
Yes.
and know that you're making the best decision for you, it's just been, it's been so much more relaxing, and it's just been easier. And like I said, that doesn't mean I don't have my challenges, and I don't have, you know, things that still come up that need to be worked through and seen and addressed.
Right.
Um, and like, you know, those random, you know, little things, technology still happens, you know, stuff
Right.
still happens that you have to, you know, consciously address. But not second guessing myself on everything has just been, it's huge. It's huge.
Yes. Going back to what you said earlier about trusting your mistakes, I'm wondering if you could just speak a little bit more about what that means and like how that's changed your mindset.
Yeah. So I guess a good example would be, so I love making reels. I've
Yes.
really gotten into reels lately. And I usually will do like the lip syncing reels where you're like, you're talking to an audio that's already made. And I recently had this urge, this push to put out a reel where I was just talking on a download that I had received. And I immediately, like, my mind was like, oh no, like, we don't do that, Lara. Like, that's not what we do. And but I just knew, I was like, this needs to go out there, and I don't want it to just be on my story. Like, I want this to be something that can be seen by as many
Right.
people who like want to see it, who are ready to see it. So I like, your mind will come up with all these things like, well, what if it doesn't look right? And like, what if people don't get it? And what if it just doesn't get the engagement, or, you know, yada, yada, yada. And I immediately just had to stop and tell myself, like, what's wrong with that? You know, what's
Yeah.
the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
You know, maybe people don't see it. Maybe it doesn't get like any engagement. Maybe it gets like
Right.
terrible engagement and like people don't like it. But I knew underneath all of that, that it was something that I needed to put out there. It was something that I was being asked to share. And so, like I said, the worst that could happen would be that I didn't get the engagement, and I would still be alive. I would still be fine on the other side. You know what I mean? And maybe I could do it better next time. Maybe I would learn, like, okay, this didn't work. I'll tweak it a little bit and do it different next time. That does, like, if it doesn't go right, that doesn't mean you just quit too. Like, I think that's important to say. You know, that doesn't mean like, oh, it didn't work, that means I wasn't supposed to do it, or I shouldn't do it anymore.
Right.
It's just a learning process about, okay, look at it, what didn't work. And if you don't know, maybe tweak one little thing and just keep tweaking like little things as you go, and see like what works as you do it. And it's really just trusting that you have that power to be able to learn from those mistakes, to be able to get better with those mistakes, and to use those mistakes to your advantage, and almost get like, almost a little excited about mistakes. Because, oh my God, like, this is something I didn't see before, and now I see it, so I can be better next time. So really just like trusting that it's okay. You know, mistakes, you know, have such a stigma, like that it's so bad. It's like the worst thing in the world when you make a mistake. But mistakes are really cool. You know, mistakes can be awesome sometimes, and mistakes aren't the end of the world.
Yes. When I think about, like, I've been also working on that, trying to show up on my social media using my own voice. And I think, like, I'll compare it to art, right? You go to the art museum, you see, like, I don't know, Pablo Picasso is the first name that pops up, and you're like, it's a freaking masterpiece. Like, this is a priceless piece of art. And people think, oh, I couldn't even draw a stick figure, right? Like, I could never be a masterful artist, or I'm not even able to be creative. But what they're not seeing is that that master artist probably started as a kid drawing a stick figure. You know what I mean? Like, every human goes through that phase at the beginning. Every kid you've ever seen has drawn the same stick figure with the house, right? That's where everyone starts. It's just that some people quit, right? Like, we all have that within us. And I think that sometimes when we're watching people on social media, like, confidently speaking, you're like, oh my gosh, that person is so confident. And what they're not seeing is like those inner thoughts and all those little tweaks and mistakes and failures and videos that no one ever watched along the way. And I think that's super important. Also, a mistake I made recently was I've also started to try to like send out emails to my email list. And I did that yesterday and I didn't blind CC it. And I was like, someone like responded back. They're like, this isn't blind CC'd. And it's like such a small thing, but I was like, oh, I feel so like ashamed. And I reached out to a support group on Facebook and people were like, no, like, first of all, probably no one will notice besides that person. Second of all, like, that's you being a human and people are going to relate to that. And that's going to like make them trust you even more. And I was like, yes, like that mistake is like part of the process. And now I've learned so much and I feel confident. Like, it's not a big deal. I just made a tiny little mistake. I'm not going to like let this ruin my day. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm wondering, is there an example in your life when you disregarded your intuition and like, what was the result of that? And how did you come back to your true knowing, your inner voice?
Let's think of an example. Well, there's a lot of times where like I won't listen to my intuition. You know, it's so funny. I'm so deeply connected to it and like I have no doubt and I trust it fully, but like I said, I'm a human and there are always going to be things that my mind is going to have very strong beliefs around until I see those and I can let them go.
Right.
So I know a lot of the time, like showing up, I will, on some days, I'll have like this feeling like, oh, I really like don't want to show up. Like, I just don't want to post today. I don't want to like put anything on my story. I don't feel like I have something to share. And sometimes that's because I have like a belief that like I don't have anything good enough to share, you know.
Right.
Other times I like notice I just am not being called to share that day.
Right.
And I'm feeling that and I'm tapping into that. And I will push myself to still put something out there. Push myself to still share something. And what I share, it's not like there's anything wrong with it. It's not like, you know, it would have been better, it would have gotten better engagement on another day. But I can like feel as I'm putting it out there, like this just doesn't feel good. You know, like usually when I put my reels out or like I post my story or I put content up on my site or anything, like I feel excited about it. I'm like, oh yeah, like this is what I want people to hear from me. Like this is what I want to share. And so like on those days when I'm just like, when my intuition, my inner voice is like, Lara, you don't have to share anything. Like you don't have to, there are days when you don't have to show up, you know, you can just like do little things in the background, even just energetically checking in with my business. Like, how do I feel about my business today? Maybe like a checklist, what like has to be done today, done. Like, as long as I'm energetically checking in with my business every day, that feels good to me. That's enough. So yeah, that would be a great example when I'm just forcing myself to show up because it's what everyone says you have to do, you know, like you have to show up every single day. You have to be consistent every single day. You have to always be doing something and posting and yada, yada, yada. So I will feel that. I will feel the disconnect when I'm not listening to my inner voice and I'm pushing myself to post something that maybe I needed more time to think about and really, what's the word I'm looking for? Not is ruminate on. um, yeah, and just like let it digest a little more,
Right.
and maybe like I would have had a different viewpoint to put out. Yeah, so I think that's a good example.
I think in those moments, whether it's like you're pushing yourself to do something when maybe rest is better, or if you're staying in a job that's like not serving you, or a relationship, like whatever it is, you're like going against your intuition, like the messages your body is sending you're not connecting with. I think those are the moments when you can like physically get sick. Like I've experienced that where like I completely lost my appetite, and like I was like not nourishing my body, or not getting enough sleep, or having so much stress hormone that I'm like having a panic attack every other day, or whatever it is. So I think that people kind of miss that connection between like how going against your intuition, or not checking in with it, or not being connected, can actually like affect your like physical energy. I'm wondering if you've noticed that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually went through a period in my life. It was when I was just starting college. I was living with a boyfriend at the time and his parents, his family. It was not working out. He was a great guy, but it was like one of those wrong timing situations.
Yeah.
And I could feel it. I knew it, and I wasn't listening. I just felt like I was stuck. You know, I was living at his house with his parents. Right. I had a relationship with his parents. He was my first ever like real long-term boyfriend, so I didn't know if I would, find anyone else after him. You know, that typical story. And so I stayed in it, and I didn't do anything. And I started smoking cigarettes, which was like totally outside of like, before him, I was like, I would never smoke a cigarette. So I was just really becoming someone that like wasn't true to who I was. I wasn't listening to my intuition. And during that time, I got very, very sick. I ended up, every morning I would wake up and I would just get sick. And I ended up losing like 50 pounds in 2 months, like a ridiculous number. And my doctors were freaking out. They didn't know what was wrong with me.
Right.
I ended up like seeing these nutritionists. They told me I possibly have celiac. Other people told me maybe it's IBS. You probably have a gluten allergy. You probably have allergies to all these things. But I never got a definitive answer. And it was so funny because after I like finally broke up with him, after we finally split off, and I moved into a place with 2 roommates I didn't even know. Like I just did the damn thing.
Yeah.
And like immediately I stopped getting sick in the mornings. My weight started to regulate itself. So I went from being really underweight to being at like a healthy weight. It was like just a total switch, a total like 180. And that was when I also started diving into spirituality a little more. And I was starting to listen to my intuition. I was starting to get those nudges. And, sometimes our inner voice will communicate through pain, through pain, because it's all we listen to sometimes. Right. If our minds are so strong, if we've gotten to a point where we are not listening to our inner voice and we've blocked it off for so long, we will only listen to pain in the body. We'll be like, oh, something like really hurts. Like I need to do something about this. Like something needs to change. And then we make the change. So like if we're not listening, that is a way our inner voice and our intuition will communicate with us, because it knows that's what we'll listen to at the time. And it knows we need to make the changes to get to where we are meant to be in life, where we want to be in life. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely, and it doesn't have to be that severe. It could be as simple as like you have some tension in your left shoulder, you feel it, and maybe you just need to spend some time in there, just like just listening to what it has to tell you. You're not making a story around it, like, oh, maybe this happened when I was pulling groceries out of the car on Thursday or something. Just watching it, just seeing it, breathing into it, and saying like, it's okay that you're here. Like, you know, it's okay that you're hanging out. I'm just going to breathe into you and let you go as you're ready, you know,
Yeah.
and let that release, because, you know, feelings aren't bad or good, and every
Right.
feeling has the right to be in your body.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line of it. Every single emotion, every single feeling you have has a right to be in the body, whether that's extreme joy or extreme sadness. And your only job is to feel those emotions, to see those emotions, to honor those emotions, and to let them move through you however they need to move through you. Remembering that nothing lasts forever.
Yes. I have such a similar story to you. I just feel like you are like reading a book about my life. But also like I've been learning that a lot now about how like those emotions, you have to let them move through because they don't leave if you push them down. Like, so like I've been having emotions come up and I'm like, where's this like coming from? And I'm like, oh, like I didn't let those feelings go through me. So now I'm working through them, and like it doesn't feel comfortable all the time, but I know that that's part of like listening to myself and like healing myself and like making space for like contentment, I think.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely.
Is there anything else that you would like to share, or any services you're offering that you want to talk about?
Well, I guess the only thing I'd want to share is just the reminder, because I know, sorry, they're mowing my lawn outside. I don't know if you can hear the lawnmower that's going by every 2 minutes, but I'll try to talk loud enough. But I know when I first started with my inner voice journey, I felt like I needed to get it right. Like I felt pressure. Like this is my answer to everything. Like I need to make this connection, and I need to be able to get those answers. And just remembering, like I keep saying, like we are all human, you know, just give yourself some grace and know that it will happen as you're ready for it to happen, as it's meant to happen. Allowing yourself to make those mistakes, allowing yourself to learn, to be, you know, the person learning how to do this, you know, and as you're learning, you know, we always expect ourselves to take, you know, 1 hour and boom, we got it, you know, we're a pro now. Just trust that like each time you're spending on it, every time you're practicing with connecting with your inner voice and learning the different ways to connect with your inner voice, you are getting better and better, and you are building up that connection more and more. And you will notice differences, and you will feel differences like each, you know, step of the ladder that you go up. And that's exciting on its own. You know, it's not like you're going to be stuck stagnant doing nothing for years, and then all of a sudden like you're going to be connected to your inner voice. You're going to notice the changes as you go. And that's exciting. You know, it's an exciting journey to be on, and to be able to watch yourself grow, and to be able to look back at who you were, you know, before, or maybe even just a week ago, and be like, wow, like I'm so, like I already know I have so much more awareness around this thing or that thing. So really just having that grace with yourself, and having fun with it. You know, life's all about playing. That's something the inner voice will tell you over and over and over again. Life is about playing and having fun and experiencing, and that's those are the rules. That's like, those are the only rules in the world, you know. Just have fun. And if I'm offering healing sessions and inner voice sessions, my availability is weekend only, but that can all be found right on my Instagram page. And then I have my website, which can be found right on my Instagram page. So Instagram's like my hangout spot. That's like place to really find all my stuff.
Awesome. It's been so good having this conversation with you and connecting with you. I really like have enjoyed our conversation, and I think you've shared a lot of valuable perspectives that I think that everyone is going to like take a little bit of perspective home with them. So thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable and open. Sending you gratitude.
Absolutely. I love chats like this. I could talk for hours.
Thank you for joining Lara and I on Yoga Corner Chats today. You can find all the information you need to find Lara and what she has to offer in the caption or show notes of this episode. I am currently accepting clients into my 6-month one-on-one entrepreneurship mindset program for yoga teachers, where you will transform from an overwhelmed yoga teacher to an empowered yoga entrepreneur. If this is something you're interested in, send me an email or Instagram message and we'll set up a clarity call. The Yoga Corner Chats replays can be found most places you listen to podcasts. Please don't forget to give me a review and subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes of Yoga Corner Chats. Have an amazing day. Chat soon.